welcome to a very special bonus episode of Renter Obsessed. We used to do this thing called Knock Talks back in the day, and we are bringing it back around. We usually talk in these shows about general marketing tactics and different aspects of the multifamily industry that we're interested in. But today, we want to bring it in-house and talk to some of our customers about their experience using Knock. They're new customers. We are very excited to have them and excited to have them on the show as well. So I'd like to introduce Windell. He is the Director of Marketing for the REMM Group, and Henry, who is the Director of Learning and Development as well. So welcome to the show, you both.
Hi, thank you for inviting us.
Hello.
Do you guys want to just give me a quick rundown about the REMM Group? Anything that you're working on that you're excited about? Just kind of give the listeners a little background on your company.
Sure, I can step into that one. So yeah, for the REMM Group, we're very excited for rolling out Knock. We just rolled it out recently, and we saw an opportunity. We've been researching Knock for about 4 years or so, and it has really impressed us over the past couple of years, all the technology and the programs and the software itself. It really is a Fisher-Price, easy to use program. I love that term. Our on-site teams are utilizing it right now, and we just finished onboarding about 2 months ago across all of our properties. So we're seeing a lot of data come through. We're seeing a lot of efficiency come through, and we've just received a lot of good feedback from our on-site team on how it's streamlined their work on their day-to-day activities. So we're very excited about that. Of course, with COVID happening, it kind of pushed a lot of technology being driven and invested
Definitely.
in. And Knock was probably top of our list when we were looking into that.
Well, that's quite a courting process, 4 years.
Yes, 4 years.
But
It took us 4 years.
You know what? I appreciate you because we are in the process of implementing a new CRM right now, HubSpot, and wish we could use Knock, but it is such a bear to implement a new tool. It's only a small group of us using it to implement a tool across a portfolio of like a diverse portfolio of people. The fact that you put so much thought into it and care into that process, I mean, I feel like your teams really, really appreciate that. And I'm sure Henry on the learning side of things, you're like, okay, Windell picks the product and then I got to make this thing happen, right?
It's a team effort overall, and we've been able to identify some what's the word I'm looking for? Some gremlins, not so much on Knock's end, but just in our own processes because Knock has been put out. So it's just been an eye opener for us in general.
Yeah, we're kind of guilty of doing that, right? We like too much transparency, and you like realize all the things that you didn't know you didn't know.
It's nice.
A good thing.
Yeah, we call them opportunities. We call them opportunities. I think that's what Knock does. It identifies the opportunities in our entire process, our portfolio, our teams, and it just gives them the ability to realize that they can do more with their time. And
yeah, absolutely.
I think that was one of the best features of Knock. And of course, the service that your team provides when it comes to helping us train our teams are great. I think Henry can attest to that. You know,
as a smaller company, I cannot give you guys enough props for the live support that you have for our team members. It has cut down on so many support tickets on us. They just go on there and they actually trust the support there, right? Because they trust that someone will answer them, and that goes far. You know, having the customers trust, the users trust in being able to get the support that they need at the time that they need it.
I'll pass that along to the support team. They're going to be blushing about it.
And
we're growing. We're growing our support team too. They just added a bunch of new people, so we're going to be able to expand our hours and be even faster on the chat back. So before in this 4-year process of deciding the perfect solution for your company, what are some of the major problems that you were trying to solve with a tool like this?
Yeah, well, the biggest pain point that we've had is really lead attribution. It's very hard for a marketing division to determine where we need to put our dollars correctly and getting the most bang for our buck without a lead attribution software. And it has become a very big challenge especially with our communities. And with Knock, that solved the problem very quickly. All the leads come into one place. Everything's tracked accordingly, with everything from your phone tracking to your email tracking to your scheduling tracking to your URL tracking. And it just gave us the ability to make sure that every lead is accounted for and attributed to the correct source and how much we're paying. So now we're able to do a very, very accurate cost per lease analysis and give our sources, our advertisers, a report card to let them know whether we need to upgrade, downgrade, or really just remove them. And I think that was the most powerful tool that we saw from there, on top of our on-site teams saving a lot of time as well.
Time is money too, Speaking of which, because since you guys have implemented this and have had more transparency into your marketing performance, how has that impacted your marketing budget and your bottom line?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, this year, we're seeing a good decrease in marketing spend. Availability and demand for Southern California has also helped with that. But with that, it also gave us the ability to even go further. I think everyone in Southern California right now are realizing that you don't have to spend too much, especially on marketing, in order to get the units filled. I think we're all experiencing a nice occupancy right now and a low availability. However, with that said, it gives us the opportunity for rent increases. I think right now is an opportunity for us to find ways to increase rent, make up for the years that we've just experienced with COVID. And it's our responsibility as a third-party management company to do that. And I think Knock has given us the ability to do that without spending more on marketing. And I think that's a very powerful tool.
Yeah, I was in your shoes. I was a Knock customer before joining the team, marketing director at a small company. And whenever there was a problem with occupancy, it was like, let's just throw money at the problem. Like, let's bump up our ad spend. Let's buy more Google ads. And it was in being able to address the actual performance issue, or to identify, what marketing sources work differently in different regions. There's not a one size fits all solution. So I'm so excited that you were able to get some visibility into that. So prior to going through this implementation, and maybe this is a question for Henry, as someone who's like part of the process of like just distributing the information, getting the teams all on board. What was your biggest concern? Obviously, change management is a big ordeal. It's kind of scary. What concerns did you have going into it?
Well, you only got one chance to do it right? If you launch something kind of haphazard, people just don't use it. We had our own stumbles there, and we've identified some fixes on our end. The initial influx of leads that come in when we first integrate Knock, that's a big issue for our current staff, because then they look at it and they get overwhelmed, right? And then they go, okay, well, I don't have any availability. I can just kind of, I got other stuff to worry about, right? What we found was that, if we reduce that, and we've, on the back end, we've identified some other things as well, in terms of if during self-scheduling, right? Our team members are calling the prospects and just confirming that these people actually want to come into work when there's no availability. It kind of reduces the amount of work that they have to do, but also reducing the amount of leads, like clearing out the leads for them and having something a little bit more streamlined for them to come in and not overwhelm them has really been beneficial for us as well. But other than that, in terms of when we launched Knock, the biggest thing for us was to use the support chat. Use the support chat. Ask any questions. Use the support chat. But the most beneficial thing for me for Knock on my end is, I used to have to visit multiple sources to be able to listen to calls and really kind of track the performance of our teams. Now I can do it all in one place. And before, the way that other sources integrate them, sometimes you can't scrub through the calls. Sometimes you can't really tell what call it is. Is it a voicemail? Is it not? It has saved me probably about 2 hours a day in terms of tracking performance. Now it's a 10 to 15 minute deal, right? And I can listen to 5 different calls in that time. And that's huge for me in performance management, right?
Wow.
So yeah, that saved me time and money there. So yeah.
That's amazing. I also do remember scrubbing through all of my different marketing sources and digging, making sure they lined up. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And then you have to listen for
helpful.
specific people, right? And now,
Mhm.
you know, Knock helps with that. And more importantly, the reporting has been amazing because at a glance, we were able to see who's answering their calls and who's not, right? And what kind of calls that there is being answered. Some places they look at if the call was initiated by the system, then it's an answered call, right? But this one is able to, Knock's able to differentiate if it's an answered call, if it was voicemail, if you know how long it took for them to answer. It's all been amazing for us to be able to track that performance.
That's awesome. So as you were gearing up for this, the contracts are signed, you're ready to go, you're working with our implementation team. How did you both prepare your teams to get started with this?
Sure, I can respond to that one. Yes, knowing what it would take to roll out Knock. First of all, it really was about discussing it with our, I think it was Alicia, Mariah, and Kevin. Discussing with them the ifs and the hypothetical situations. We went through a whole list of concerns prior to rolling out a CRM. And it was amazing because Alicia, Mariah, and Kevin were giving us exactly what we needed to know. They told us this is what they've seen at other properties rolling it out. This could be a pain point once you roll it out. So knowing all that information ahead of time, we were able to prepare communication to our teams, letting them know. Most of our teams were communicated over 2 months prior to launch, letting them know that we need you to prepare X, Y, Z, get ready for this. You're going to be experiencing ABC, so that they weren't just surprised when we jumped on the first Knock kickoff meeting, you know. And then what we did actually was we rolled it out first of all with a pilot of 5, and then we separated the rest of our portfolio in 3 batches. So we realized, you know, rolling out across the entire portfolio, yes, would make things faster, but it probably wouldn't be the most comfortable way of rolling out to each of the teams. So what we did is we rolled out 5. The 5 pilots ran it for a few weeks. They gave us feedback. Then we used that feedback to roll out to the next batch, got more feedback, rolled it a second batch. By the time we rolled out to the 3rd batch, they had the best experience ever. So I think that was probably the best strategy we implemented when rolling out Knock. And then today, we're able to see our engagement scores rise very quickly because of that.
So my advice to all of the property management companies, choose your favorites for the 3rd batch then, right?
You could do it that way or the other way. It's up to you.
Yeah. Choose the people that you know you can count on, that like they'll be real with you for the first batch, right? I love that. I did the exact same thing. And funny story, Alicia and Kevin were my 2 people that helped me implement Knock. So there you go. We got a lot in common. I love it. So you guys obviously rolled this out really successfully. Your teams are super engaged. What advice do you have for anyone that's on the fence, unsure, maybe about to embark on the process, and could use some tips and tricks from some people that have done it before?
So I would probably say some tips and tricks that I would recommend. Talk to existing customers. That's what I did. You know, I mean, just like, you know, should I go watch a movie? I'm going to go talk to someone who watched it. It's that simple. You know, before I go. And I would recommend you talk to existing customers, you find out what they've done and how they rolled it out and why they rolled it out. I think that, believe it or not, I think we all share very similar pain points in this industry. And you shouldn't continue feeling that pain when there's a solution already available in the market. So that's what I would probably recommend is ask someone who's using it. And then on top of that, try the pilot. I think a pilot is a great way to test it because you can see if Knock does fit and can modify itself to fit within your protocols and your procedures at your communities and at your management company.
That's excellent advice. Definitely talking to your peers. And we have a ton of amazing customers. And I don't know if you just volunteered yourself, but we have a ton of amazing
Did that just
customers.
happen? Did I just do that?
Did you just volunteer yourself to be a customer reference? That's what I was hearing. But yes, you know, we have so many people in our network that are so engaged and so wonderful. And I mean, having the network of our peers in this industry is what makes property management so special too. I feel like we meet each other at these events and get these opportunities to, you know, talk online like this. So definitely ask the market before you make any decisions. I agree with that advice for sure. Henry, I didn't give you this question in advance, but I just really want to ask it. There's a lot of gamification in knock. How fierce has the competition got? Is there any like plans for, events or finding ways to push the gamification to get your teams more excited to use it and to drive performance?
Absolutely. And I think the strength of gamification falls on the strength of and the ease of use of the reporting in NUC, right? So, I mean, if I was to offer a tip as well, it'd be for all the regionals out there, easy peasy. You don't be afraid of the reporting. Click on analytics, click on engagement. That is, in general, like 90% of what you need, right? And you can kind of dig in from there. It's so easy. Just one report instead of 10 different reports you got to pull up. That will give you an at a glance of what you need to see how your region's doing, like really one page. In terms of gamification, oh my God, because of the strength of the reporting and how easy it is for me to look at it at any one time, it's so easy to read. I look at it daily, and I don't typically look at reports daily, right? And at any one time, I can just look at it and see exactly where we're falling short on. We can we can have an internal discussion on what we can boost up, right, through internal contests or anything like that. So in terms of internal competition, there's a few properties on our portfolio who are inherently competitive. So they even with our online learning, they're competing with each other. So when they see each other's engagement score, they naturally want to compete with each other and make sure that they're always on the 100% engagement. So that's really like increased engagement portfolio wide with each other, right?
Yeah, and it's in this job market, it's so important to keep your teams engaged and feel like they're growing in their career and they're, improving, obviously. And I experienced, at least when I was using Knock, like there were some super users out there that got really competitive, and it was my fault. I ran contests, so they won prizes. So it was fair that they were competitive. But yeah, got to get those Knockstar competitions going, right? Amazing. So since you guys have implemented Knock, you are fully rolled out, correct?
Yes.
What is your tech stack look like currently beyond Knock, and how has everything been playing together in the sandbox?
Yes, actually, it's been playing very well. That was also one of the other pain points that we wanted to make sure we addressed. Whenever you're rolling out a new system, will it play nicely with everything else you have existing, plus play nicely with the new programs that you're strategically going to implement in the near future? And it has. One thing I can say is that we are using Knock with Yardi. It ties in directly with our Rent Cafe websites. The integration was very simple and streamlined. We also have it set up so that we can attach to LeaseHawk, which allows us to get our artificial intelligence ACE turned on. It also ties in with Rengrata, which we also have on at some of our communities. In addition to that, just the overall ease of using the scripts that Knock provides going onto all of our ILSs have worked very well as well. So overall, with our tech deck, it has integrated very, very easily.
Amazing. We like to call ourselves internally the Switzerland of prop tech software. So we're a big fan of partners, especially the ones you listed. So this was a wonderful conversation. I think for me, I feel a lot of correlation between your experience and what my experience was and why I'm here today. And I think a lot of our customers feel the same way. Do you have any parting words or final advice for anyone that's on the fence about, making this big, major, life-changing change to their business?
Henry, do you want to go first?
Well, I think the only thing I want to leave off with is just more of an anecdote. Was when we first announced that we were launching Knock, and this is even before we launched it, there were a few resident relations, there were a few leasing agents and community managers who have used Knock before, and they were speaking praises about it, right? And this is when they used it years ago or a couple of years ago before the current updates, and they loved it then. And that was one of the big reasons for us to really decide to use it, because again, we can launch things all day long, right? But it's really up to the user to actually decide to use it. And if our users are speaking praises about it, and there's no monetary incentive for them to do so, then it's really a great tool for them, right?
Amazing.
I can piggyback off that. That was probably one of the #1 reasons why we selected Knock as well, is because you built a program that was focusing on the on-site team's experience. Reporting is incredible, but I think that Knock really figured it out when they said, we're going to focus on the on-site team first, and it'll roll from there. And I think that's what made it very powerful, because no matter how great your reporting is, if the on-site team doesn't use it, it doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
Windell, were you the one who said that all these different CRMs or all these different products were built with as an accountant platform first, and then the CRM was built on top of that? But Knock was built as a CRM first, right, with user experience in mind, and then everything else was built on top of that.
Exactly.
And to have user experience as a foundation is
perfect.
It wins everything.
If your on-site teams aren't happy, your residents won't be happy. You won't be happy. They are the core of this entire industry, and we should be building products for them, right?
And you know what? Now that we're mentioning trading, here's another good antidote too. I think 90% of trading is trying to train people how to work around the idiosyncrasies of certain software, right? There's no such thing. There's very little of that in Knock. So there's very little training in Knock that we actually have to do. We could just put it in front of them, have them figure it out if we wanted to. In fact, we spend a couple of minutes to talk about what you do and how do you manage a prospect, what you click on. It's like a 20-minute training at most. While other softwares, we really have to focus on, okay, so you would think that you press here, but you don't press here. Don't ever press here. Press somewhere else, right? Even those that says press here, don't press it, right? There's none of that in Knock. And it just again speaks to the user experience of it. And because it's so user-friendly, it makes it easy for training as well.
I love it. I really appreciate you both. Thank you for everything. And thank you for being super fans like I am. And hopefully we get to talk very soon. Have a wonderful weekend.